there's times where you go out for a run and you feel like your body has failed you.
Hmm.
And it's like I went through a stage where I just like hated my body, because I felt like it was almost like betraying me. And you just have to get to a point, and of course, like the people, God put people in my path that were able to mentor me and encourage me and provide like light that I couldn't see on my own.
Hmm.
And just come to know that the body does things to help you to save you from yourself almost.
This episode of the Smart Athlete Podcast is brought to you by Solpre, skincare for athletes. Whether you're in the gym, on the mats, on the road, or in the pool, we protect your skin so you're more comfortable in your own body. To learn more, go to solpre.com. On today's episode of the Smart Athletes Podcast, my guest is a former collegiate runner for Division I school. She was on track to be a registered dietitian and made a large jump and is now a doctor of chiropractic medicine. Welcome to the show today, Rebekah Aldridge.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be on it.
So, we were kind of talking a little bit before the show that you ran in college, obviously, like I just said, and then had been off for a little while. Can you share a little bit about like your experience as a collegiate runner and kind of what went on that led to this break?
Oh yeah. So uh being I mean I love running. Like I still love running, super passionate about it. Being a collegiate runner, I think I overdid it a little bit. Stressed the body a lot. I ran what I was told, and then I did extra on the side. Like a lot of swimming and biking on top of the running, which put a lot of stress on the body. I never got like physically injured, but at the beginning of senior year, the end of June, no, beginning of senior year, I just like performance just started decreasing. It just became really, really hard to run. Um, and we thought it was like mono or something. But then I got my blood tested and it was thyroid issues. And then soon after that, I got shingles. So, like, shingles is like chicken pox, but times 10.
On
And it
steroids,
was,
yeah, it's chicken pox
yeah,
for adults.
yeah. And it was like all on my face and like on the roof of my mouth, and that just like really fatigued my body. So I think I redshirted indoor track too, or at least cut it short. I'm not sure. And then outdoor track, and so that just kind of halted things, and it never got any easier to run after a while. And so I was on the track to be a dietitian, and then I'm during that time um, of course, like whenever your health falls apart like that, you're a bit distraught, and
Yeah,
especially being a runner, like runners, I mean, you have to love what you do to run so many miles.
yeah.
Um, but it was my tragedy, and I met medical doctors couldn't really explain, like, of course you want to know why, like, why is this happening? And
Hmm.
a chiropractor explained it to me in a way that really made sense, talking about the nervous system and how all the nerves in your spine, they go to different organs. I mean, right now it's like the more I learn, the more I'm like, wow, it's so complex. Like the body's amazing. But that was like, wow, he gave me hope, and I just clung to that hope that my body could heal, and he just kept on reinforcing that your body can heal. And I mean, granted, it took a while, but with that, I discovered a love for chiropractic, and I decided to go to chiropractic school. And I continued my healing journey through chiropractic school. ran into some functional medicine, and
Mhm.
that helped a lot to address the nutritional deficiencies. And then I ran into I what I have uh, what I have taken and sort of ran with. It's called a biogeometric integration,
Mhm.
and it's a way of viewing the body, and they explained things in a way that made incredible sense. And it looks at the body and how the body can store past traumas, whether it be physical, chemical, or emotional, and how all of those three things, both the physical component, the chemical, and the emotional, can cause um, disease in a sense.
Mhm.
And that by releasing those and figuring out what those are can help encourage healing. Um, and so that was one of the things that, after discovering that in chiropractic school, um, I sort of ran with it, and it's provided a lot of insight and hope and healing.
So we got a lot to unpack there.
Yeah,
I mean,
sorry, that was
we have
that
a
was a
pretty
bunch of
long story,
information.
Yeah, so it's like, so I kind of want to go back a little bit to college, and it's like, um, I guess if you're like me, and I think most runners at that level, and probably you, especially since you're overachieving,
Oh yeah.
like, how do you deal with the kind of identity shift? Like, I think about, there's an entrepreneur who talks about how runners run because that's their identity. Like, well, it's not a matter of discipline. Like, it's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're unable to do that anymore, or at least for the time being, like, do you remember how you dealt with that, or like what you kind of went through?
Yeah. So it was tough because you want to cling to it, and there's times where you go out for a run and you feel like your body has failed you.
Hmm.
And it's like I went through a stage where I just like hated my body, because I felt like it was almost like betraying me. And you just have to get to a point, and of course, like the people, God put people in my path that were able to mentor me and encourage me, and provide like light that I couldn't see on my own.
Hmm.
And just come to know that the body does things to help you, to save you from yourself almost.
Hmm.
So even if it seems tragic, uh, or like it's holding you back, it's really doing something to help you, to protect you from yourself a lot of times. And that's what it was doing for me. I mean, I think if I would have kept running, I would have just ran and ran and ran, and
Hmm.
uh, something else would have happened. But and it also it forced me to draw close to God, and kind of seek Him for comfort whenever, because a lot of times running serves as a strategy to run away from issues,
Hmm.
or almost your own thoughts. And so instead of running away, I started focusing more on God,
Hmm.
and really developed my connection with Him, and spirituality, I guess.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I mean, it is hard, but get through it.
Yeah. Let's see if I can remember. So you were talking about the body as kind of like its own line of defense against you. I'm always kind of interested in like the mind body connection and this kind of interplay between what we're doing physically and the mind and what you may even call the spirit. There's kind of an intermingling there.
Hmm.
Um, so there's I kind of talk about this in another interview I did earlier this week with a gentleman named Chris Douglas. He went through a race, and it was a triathlon. He pushed himself so hard that he passed out and like had there not been aid available to him, like he could have ended up dying.
Mhm.
Um, so there's always a struggle, which you're very familiar with, about the body telling you to stop, like when you're running, or like when you talk to people that are new to running, they're like trying to figure out how to deal with that voice in their head that says
Mhm.
stop, and then you and I both know how to kind of negotiate that and work hard.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of curious if you have an opinion on, having been on the other side where your body's just put the brakes on you, regardless of what you wanted. Do you think there's a good way to find a balance between pushing the line and not falling over the line? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yes. So that really it takes a lot of practice,
Hmm.
and being okay with what uh with what your body says, because we are mind, body, and spirit. Like there's three components to us. You have your mind, your body, and your spirit. And your mind, there's different thoughts. So that's an interesting question that you brought up. But um so there's thoughts that are almost limiting,
Hmm.
and thoughts that are lies. And it's really hard to identify those lies unless you know the truth that you can focus on. And you practice, we practice this in running too. And then there's your body, that you listen to your body, but your thoughts will influence your body as well.
Hmm.
So finding that balance, it takes a lot of practice and a willingness to listen to what your body is saying and to what your thoughts are saying. Um, and taking time to match those. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think the struggle for me, and probably hopefully for other people, is like, you know, how do you deal with discerning what voice to listen to? You know what I mean? When you have these
Mhm.
competing ideas, you have the ego that says, I want to go faster, and the very literal physical response of, lactic acid buildup, and then that, corresponding voice that says, no, we don't need to go quite that fast, and there's competition. Um, and then all the other things that are at play, um, people that maybe have, I have this theory about, which you kind of touched on a little bit, like a theory
Mhm.
about people that have trauma or have something that they're running away from often end up in running because it's a way to cope.
Yep.
So it's like you have all these competing voices, and to me, I guess I'm after, like, if you have any insight or thoughts on, is there a way to discern that? Is there any way to kind of feel out what the clarity, like what the true thought is within your mind, at least in your own experience?
Mhm. Okay. So to figure out the clarity in your own mind. All right. For me, that involves prayer,
Hmm.
because that is the truth. Whenever it comes from God, that is the truth, and that will override the thoughts. Um, and if and sort of knowing the obsessive type behavior, and if you feel horrible about yourself for not doing something, then it's probably something that you need to disconnect from, in a sense. So like if you beat yourself up for missing a run, that's not a good thing.
Hmm.
That um that means that you're overdoing it.
Hmm.
But like during a race or a workout, that's really tough, because you want to keep pushing. And of course, like if you're running with other team members, then you're going to be competitive. And I think that's really good. but and I guess there isn't really a clear answer because it's
Hmm.
different for everyone.
Right.
So it's more of a trial and error, I suppose.